Hi everyone, I'm Ben, welcome back to my channel. The Women's Prize long list has been revealed and it's a really exciting, dynamic list of books. A real mixture of books we probably expected to see and some that are real surprises, which is always great for a prize like this. There are quite a few videos out there already that go through the list in quite some detail, and until I read the books, I'm probably not going to be able to add too much more to that conversation. So I'm going to keep it pretty snappy. I have with me here my list of predicted titles, the list of false prophecy, if you will, and a highlighter, and I thought it'd be fun just to go through the list and mark my homework. I do have copies of some of the nominated books here, but unlike some other jammy booktubers, I do not get sent a big box of free books, and I'm not salty about it. Not much anyway. I'm going to start with the books that I did correctly predict. Let's get cracking. The first one I got right is Cursed Bread by Sophie Mackintosh. This is a novel based on a true story of a French town where some woman poisoned basically the whole town through the bread. I'm really excited to read this. I'm actually going to see Sophie Mackintosh at an event about the book on Tuesday, so I'll get myself a little signed copy when I'm there. Next we have Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. This is the very aesthetically pleasing retelling of David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, set in opioid-afflicted America. Kingsolver is a previous winner of the Women's Prize and has been shortlisted and longlisted a number of times. It's a whopper of a book, over 600 pages, and I am very excited to read this one. Next is Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow, which is the story of 3 generations of women from the same family who live in Memphis. Sounds great. I hope I like it because I've heard she picks fights with people on Instagram who criticise her book, which, yeah. My final correct prediction is Trespasses by Louise Kennedy, which is a story of forbidden love set in the 1970s during the Troubles in Northern Ireland. So that's it. I got 4 correct predictions, 25%, not brilliant. I'm not going to be making any bets anytime soon, but I think all across BookTube we all did terribly at guessing, and that's great because it meant there were lots of surprises. There were 4 books that made my long list that I cut out before I made my predictions. Now, I'm not saying I deserve a medal for almost guessing some more of these books. I definitely did not. My long list was like 40 books long, and I didn't choose them at the end of the day. The first of these 4 is Glory by Novila Bulawayo, and I think I left it out partly out of wishful thinking because I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the cover or the premise of the animals, but I really don't want to read this book, which is weird because I really enjoyed her previous novel, We Need New Names, which was shortlisted for the Booker Prize. I really liked her writing style, I really liked what she had to say, but something about this just doesn't appeal to me. But maybe I'm wrong because this book's title seems very appropriate because it has been showered in nothing but glory, seems to be nominated for every prize under the sun. So maybe I'll give it a go. It is out in paperback very soon. Then we have I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel, and I've got the lovely Foyle's Book of the Year edition, which sparkles in the light. Isn't that nice? This is a book about a woman becoming sort of social media obsessed with someone she's having an affair with. In contrast to Glory, I really, really, really want to read this. It sounds fantastic. I've heard nothing but good things about it. In my notes, when I eliminated this, I'd written maybe too short for the Women's Prize, but apparently not because it's on the list. And then Homesick by Jennifer Croft, which I was really excited to see on the list, primarily because it was published by Charco Press, who normally do translations and have featured quite heavily on the International Booker Prize in recent years. This is a rare book from them that was written in English, but it has a really interesting history. I think it was originally started off in Spanish, then it was turned into English blog posts on Jennifer Croft's website, and then it was turned into a novel, but published as a memoir in the US and had pictures from Jennifer Croft's life growing up with her sister included. So a really intriguing background, although potentially a fairly straightforward coming-of-age story. And then finally, The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. Maggie O'Farrell is also a previous winner of the Women's Prize for Hamnet. This is her follow-up, which tells the story of Lucrezia de Medici, who is married off very young and then dies, and this is the build-up to her death. I think I didn't include this one because I was a little bit underwhelmed by Hamnet, if I'm totally honest, and I thought maybe this wouldn't make the cut. I don't know. I had to have some reasons, didn't I? Then there are 3 books that I was aware of, had picked up in bookshops, thumbed through, but did not even consider that they might be on the Women's Prize long list. The first of those is Fire Rush by Jacqueline Crooks. This only recently came out, and I am buzzing for this one actually, because it's about dance and music, it's about friendships and love, and it's partially set in Bristol, and I am always a sucker for a book set where I live. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I think I'm going to prioritise it and pick it up soon. Then we have Wandering Souls by Cecil Pinn. This is the story of 3 siblings, Antan and Min, who migrate to the UK, lose their parents in the process, and then have to navigate Thatcher's Britain in the 70s and 80s, although I'm not sure precisely which years it's set in or if it covers a whole heap of time. Then we have Stoneblind by Natalie Haynes, which is a Greek retelling of the myth of Medusa, I believe. I'm kind of intrigued by this. Natalie Haynes is a comedian and does some stuff on BBC Radio 4, which I have listened to before and really enjoyed, but I haven't really got on the Greek myth bandwagon. I've only read Circe by Madeline Miller, which I enjoyed, but I'm ashamed to admit that I found it maybe a little bit boring. Please don't come for me for that opinion. And then we get into probably the most exciting books, which are the ones that I have never even heard of. So these were complete surprises. The first of these is Black Butterflies by Priscilla Morris. This is set in the early 90s during the war in Yugoslavia, and specifically during the siege of Sarajevo. It's supposed to be a very gripping emotional story, and I'm looking forward to getting into it. Then we have maybe my highlight of the list, the one that I think could be the star find from this long list, and that's Children of Paradise by Camilla Gradova. This is set in a cinema and has the protagonist sort of applying for a job there and then discovering the seedy underworld and what's going on behind the scenes. Gradova has previously had a short story collection of really strange off-kilter stories published by Fitzcarraldo Editions, so I am really intrigued by this book. Next is Pod by Laylene Paul, who previously wrote The Bees, which was a pretty popular novel, and this is another book from the perspective of animals. It is entirely about a pod of dolphins, which, gotta admit, does not tickle my fancy immediately, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Then we have The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff, which is described as a feminist revenge thriller set in a rural Indian village. 2 strands of storytelling I did not expect to see braided together. Finally, we have The Dog of the North by Elizabeth Mackenzie. This is the only book on the list that hasn't been released yet, and to be honest, the cover is giving me half price in Asda, but apparently it's a darkly comic romance-ish novel. The titular Dog of the North is the name of a camper van that our protagonist drives around in to sort out all of her problems. Not sure about this one, not top of my list, but I'm sure it will delight many other readers. That's all 16 books on the list. Very excited about all of this. If I were to prioritise, I'm probably most looking forward to getting into I'm a Fan, Children of Paradise and Fire Rush. They're my top 3 at the moment. If there are any that you are particularly excited to see on the list, or ones that you've read and would really recommend, let me know in the comments. If you are not a subscriber yet, now is a great time to hit the subscribe button, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It really helps me out. But until next time, toodles!